Eric over at gearskip.com. This is a 2008-2009 Fox van RC2 36. Notice this black finish. This is what Fox calls their Fox Gold. Someone inside will call it black too. Anyway, this is Nakashima. This is your standard anno, just as identifiers here. Notice this big knob on the bottom. This is a protective cap for the RC2 dampening knobs. So rebound knob here, and this normally on most of the other forks is an air spring cap. Well, this is the coil, and that's what makes the van different. So I'm going to get in here. I'll show you how to drop the lowers with all the hardware on the bottom here. It's kind of intricate. And then putting in some new seals. We're putting in the SKF dust wipers with some new foam rings. And cleaning this part up. Stanchions looking for any wear, because that happens quite a bit. Actually, I can see some right here already. But anyway, that's it. Pay attention, watch close, show your friends, like my video. Thanks, guys. C2 knobs are compression, high speed and low speed compression knobs from damage, because they are exposed otherwise, just like that. Next thing you want to do is back these all the way out. This is so you can service the damper. You might have to twist them just a little bit so you can get in there with your tool. Next thing is you're going for a 2mm Allen key. Get in there, break these things loose. Take one off, set it in a safe spot, and take the next one off. You just got to find the right one. Oh, there we go. Of course, it's the one in between the two unusable ones. Still really clean. Make sure not to lose the detent ball and spring. Remember, when that goes back on, it goes face down. The ball passes, hits each one of these spots, and that gives you those distinct clicks. Alright, the next step here is to get your 15mm socket, sink it there, and take this thing off. Just enough to crack that loose. And there's going to be a compression washer down here that doesn't really compress. But what we're going to do now is take that part out. It's just dirty. Put the protective cap back on. After we put the nut back on upside down, hold that in place. And then screw this on. What this does is it gives you a protective surface on which to hammer. So now that's loose. I'm going to screw that back off. So the damper is loose from the lower assembly. Now we're going to take the 10mm, break this guy loose. This one does have a true compression washer on here, just like on the 32s. Yeah, nice and solid. That compression washer fits in there so tight that it makes it really difficult to take it off otherwise. So what I'll do to get that compression washer off, take a pair of dikes, clip it, slides right off, done. And now, take my plastic face mallet, beat on the spring side. Lowers are loose. Now what you're seeing here is the oil draining from the lower assembly into oil pan. And I want to give you a quick tutorial on what we're seeing here. There's our fork in the stand, and what you see here, you got some grayish oil over here on the spring side, which is pretty natural on these vanillas. But then you've got this muddy color. Now remember, the damper, this open bath oil is supposed to be clear green when this is serviced. What we're seeing is mud. So there's a pretty good indication we're going to get some stanchion wear, and we're going to find some really, really dirty foam rings, not to mention a really filthy interior on these lowers. The lowers have been broken loose. Just going to slide them off and set these aside for just a moment, because I want to kind of get them cleaned up a little bit. And now what I wanted to get out of here is my my damper, so I can service that first. This little thing that's come off here is actually a bottom out bumper from the lower leg of the fork, and got to clean that up and get that reinstalled too. So now what I want to do here is got this, be gentle with this end and put it underneath the lip of the seal here, slowly pry up, and presto changeo. And you see how gray that is. These go in white. These are just absolutely filthy. You can do it on this other one. Just constant pressure, but be careful not to damage the interior surface of the fork here. Last thing you need to do is screw these up. And see, this one's red, the color of the mud that's in the oil. You can see that fine desert mud that's gathered on that seal and that dust wiper. I don't know if you can kind of get a better look there. That dust wiper is just absolutely just filthy and gross. Again, that's supposed to be kind of greenish with that green damper fluid or open bath fluid. So anyway, it's good this is being done. So this next step is all about washing these things out. So rubbing alcohol goes in there, and hold it upside down. That way you can wipe out any of that excess dirt and debris from the dust wiper seats without it falling into the fork lower. I'm going to kind of clean up the bushings while I'm in there too, wipe that out. I'm going to throw some more alcohol in there, let that break down the material buildup. Part number SKF 36mm dust wiper. Part number is 803-00615. Get these, they're a little bit more expensive, but they're so worthwhile to have. So what we'll do, first thing I want to do actually is prep the foam rings. So I got this little pillow pack, and the float fluid that's in these pillow packs is remarkable stuff. It's 90 weight, very sticky, and usually we use it to seal up the air chambers in these forks and the air chambers on Fox's rear shocks. I actually like it so much I use it in a variety of other equipment despite recommendations, and usually get pretty good results. So what this does, as I've learned from the guys inside Fox, is because it's a stickier, extremely high viscosity, being 90 weight oil, is it actually makes these foam rings retain the oil a lot better and retain lubrication properties. So then after that, I'm just going to throw them in here. That's going to be my open bath oil, so it's all getting prepped. The next step is I'm going to pull out my dust wipers. I'm going to leave these dry, and I'm going to pound them in. Actually, I've got a nice Delrin tool here that allows you to press these in with just body weight. And 36mm dust wipers go in really easy. You can see how clean that sets. Is to take these foam rings, put them in their home, all nice and oily. This is going to feel really nice when this guy gets this back. He won't even know what to do with himself. And then after that, what I like to do, which is always kind of fun, makes these things even better, is throw a little bit of slick honey up in there. Now Fox won't tell you to do that, and some guys will tell you to use Motorex or some other high viscosity grease that is got a slippery property to it, which I don't know if that makes sense or not. But I'll do this, and the fork takes on an amazingly buttery feel. Just be aware. Wipe down the outside surface here, because anywhere where you put alcohol, it's in a clean phase. And now it'll be time to inspect the fork. To put a ring on there, O-ring, a big fat O-ring, makes it very easy to indicate your travel. Alright, time to slide the lowers on. You kind of have to wiggle them because you don't want to pinch anything. You don't want to pinch these new seals up. Alright, so with the lowers on, what I like to do is just give it some action. You can hear where the coil spring is actually catching. Oops. Or the lower spring assembly here. And you're going to have to guide that into place when it really comes into doing the final parts of the installation of the lowers. And that's actually found its home already. What we're doing, you can see that buildup of residue here. We're trying to get all the excess oil that's going to come out of this after the rebuild and service. Alright, the next step here is to hold this in place nice and even and use your beaker. I've measured out 50 cc's of oil in this beaker, and half of that goes in the spring leg, half of it's going in the damper leg, and this is your open bath fluid. This is what lubricates the fork during use. Got a new crush washer for the for the coil spring side. Put that on and twist this in place. Your little nut. And that uses a 10 mil. So you can use that to tighten her down. Make sure you're going the right way. And I like to give that a nice snug feel, anchoring it down there and crushing that crush washer into place. Pull out your 15 mil. Looks like the crush washer went where it's supposed to go. Get rid of your 10, throw in your 15, and you just start anchoring it down. And nice and snug. That concludes reinstalling the nut on the damper side. Spray down the entire fork with your alcohol. So we want to remove all the excess oil that we've left on there from the service process, just top to bottom. Reinstalling this hardware, you have to find a nice flat spot. There's a groove here where you need to match up this pin. Make sure your D10 ball is still in place. The compression, the low speed compression nut or adjuster, and we'll play with that for a second.